Hello and welcome to the Celtic Way Morning Briefing Live. I'm Tony Haggerty, a Haggerty10 Twitter handle, and I'm joined as always by Sean Martin at Sean Martin DCW. Sean's hoping to be the Cato to my not got a Cluzo, and we'll fight our way through the next 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever, discussing the Glasgow Derby up and coming on Sunday, Sean.
Yep.
But first and foremost, if you like these videos and like the stuff on the website, you'll see all sorts of interviews and data analysis and smashing contributions from columnists. You see along the bottom, subscribe to www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe, and it's £1 for 2 months, Sean. As we always say, good value.
Aye, it is, and I just want to say on that, we are also conscious of the fact today of all days and this month of all months, there's plenty of things going on with everyone with utilities, heating, etc., all getting hiked on you. So we've got this going for a £1 a month for the first 2 months. So it's hopefully not too big an inconvenience for you. And if you give us a shot, hopefully you keep it on after that as well. But
indeed. Now, Sean, big news broke yesterday afternoon, evening, overnight. Yep. Sydney Super Cup, in the words of the Proclaimers, Rangers no more. Your thoughts, Sean?
Yes, I mean, probably for the best, no? Opposition from both sets of fans to the concept, and as much as the kind of support act patter has made for some cracking laughs, it's I've told you all before my opposition to it, my feeling that taking the Derby on the road was a kind of Harlem Globetrotters type thing. Yep. I didn't back it. I don't think it was a good idea. From the Celtic point of view, it was more whether you're using the term or not. You can't really distance yourself as one of two halves and then take that travelling around the world as a double act, whether you want to call it the old firm or whether you don't. That didn't sit right with from the Celtic point of view. And then from the Rangers point of view, I think they've obviously decided it's not worth the hassle, I think, basically.
So there's no Eric Tablet and macaroon and a half scarves, Sean? Nothing like that going down on Australia then?
No, it doesn't seem like it. I mean, there's also the other aspect, and that's the question, are they legally on solid ground? I mean, I don't know, frankly. I'm not going to pretend that I do know. I'm not a lawyer, not a solicitor. Tickets have already gone on sale, though, remember. The Rangers club statement on the issue was, as always, quite vague. And then this morning I noticed that Vince Rugari of the Sydney Morning Herald reported that, I don't know if you've seen it, there's talk of them potentially getting hit with breach of contract, etc., etc. And then on top of that, the co-promoters, TAG and Left Field Live, released a statement saying that they were disappointed with the Rangers statement. And I don't know about yourself, but the wording of that statement suggested to me that Rangers hadn't actually notified them of the withdrawal before releasing it in a public statement. But who knows? And the promoter says, in their view, it seemed to be purely based on fan reaction. So, no Rangers at the Sydney Super Cup.
I think there's going to be a long drawn-out verbal and public spat with even possible legal repercussions, which is Rangers' bag, and they'll have to deal with it. I guess the upside for Celtic is that they can market this as now Ange Postecoglou's homecoming tour, and it could be.
It was already marketed.
Very much so. Yeah,
that's. I think part of that is what got to Rangers fans quite a bit. I think probably understandably, but I mean the kind of support act stuff. As I say, it gave quite a few laughs in the group chats, I'm sure. Ronnie referencing there, I'm surprised the Australian, more than one Australian outlet actually referenced it. So fair enough. It's given ammunition for plenty of Celtic fans, I presume. But it's Stevie saying that. I don't know how accurate that is, but could be, because it's now no longer the teams that you were thinking you were going to see. But there's another aspect to it. But when you were asking me the other day, ultimately, I still think what I said then holds true. It's been marketed as Ange Postecoglou's homecoming. Celtic are the main attractions, and ignoring the whole Harlem, even ignoring the whole Harlem Globetrotters aspect that I just talked about the Derby going on tour, I don't ultimately think it matters if Rangers are pulling out, because another team will be willing to join, and Celtic fans down under will still get to see their team, which correct me if I'm wrong, but was always the point rather than who they were going to be playing, surely. I mean, we've got plenty of Australian viewers, so I'm sure if I'm wrong about that and it was purely because it was the derby, then feel free to comment.
No, I think that's a fair point, Sean. That I've seen on the plus side, the Celtic fans down under will not get denied the chance to see their heroes in action, so that's fair enough. But
right.
yeah, I guess there's lots of possible repercussions from it. It's not Celtic's bag. Celtic are still fulfilling their obligations contractually and will go to Australia, and it's a great thing for Ange, and he's really looking forward to it. Talk of the team replacing Rangers is AC Milan, Sean. That would be decent as well, wouldn't it?
Anyway, then, innit? But
yeah,
there's a few comments here, Anthony Gallagher, saying all we want to see is hoops. That was the way I was thinking that it would be taken, because it's ultimately that's who they want to see. Charlie McGarvey, a point here, thousands of Celtic supporters were disappointed. They might be disappointed that it's not a derby, but surely, first and foremost, Celtic haven't pulled out. Celtic are still going. So
yeah, of course.
And then a fair enough comment here. Loads of Rangers fans from Australia now with tickets to a Celtic friendly.
Yeah, with all sorts of banter. Yeah, all sorts of banter on social media last night, and no doubt everybody has had a laugh and has seen all the kind of posts. But moving on from the Sydney Super Cup, Sean.
Yes, William Lamont is urging us to move on.
We'll do that, William. We've given it enough time. That's 5 minutes or so. So there you go. Ben Doak has left.
Yes, Ben Doak,
youngster Ben Doak has allegedly left to join Liverpool, and saw the pictures with him holding a Liverpool jersey and a deal reputedly worth 600 grand. I think the Athletic were reporting that, Sean.
Yeah.
Not confirmed by Celtic as of yet, but it's. I think when the Athletic are reporting it, the Liverpool side of the Athletic also reporting it, you kind of take it that's the truth, isn't it? That's happening.
I think so. It was James Pearce, the Liverpool correspondent for the Athletic that reported it. The picture, I actually thought the picture might have been like him on a stadium tour when he was a wee guy or something, because it was number 7. I was like, well, does James Milner know? But I think maybe it was because you'll be getting into the kind of Premier League 2 squad and stuff. I don't know if it was one, but I mean, all I can say is good luck to him, really. I mean, there are obviously the overarching questions of the pathway and all the rest of it to the first team. But I think under this manager in particular, given time, I think we will see players given chances in the senior side more often than we maybe have in the past few years. And at the end of the day, it's not that Celtic are losing Ben Doak to like a team of lesser resources, etc. It's Liverpool. Even discounting the money involved, it's still a high caliber environment that he's going to. Now, I know that there's the argument if it is the under-23s and all that initially, rather than the potential of getting in Celtic's first team next year, that kind of thing, then that's an argument. But regardless, it's not like they're losing him to a team of lesser resources, and I think that does count for something for me. Like Liam Morrison and Barry Hepburn going to Bayern, like Josh Adam going to Man City, I think it's good luck to them. There's also, I suppose, the case, the cases of Leo Helder and Armstrong Oko Flex, maybe okay club-wise. It's not as high calibre, but certainly the league that they're hoping to break through in was. As I say, I do think there are questions about how open the pathway is, but under Postecoglou, we're hearing all the right noises. So I think give them the time to take some of them through and see what happens.
It's also possibly a deal that was in the pipeline before Postecoglou came, Sean, and the wheels were in motion, and it's maybe something that he's not been able to prevent as of yet. And as you say, he has been speaking about the fact that there will be a pathway, and that's something that he's going to work on. He's obviously working on the building blocks, getting the Celtic first team ready and capable of winning trophies and competitive. So these are things that we'll be looking on, further down the line. So I guess, as you say, good luck to the boy. If Celtic are getting that kind of money for him, then it's some recompense, isn't it? Small recompense. I think a lot of Celtic supporters would like to have seen Ben Doak in the team. But if the boy, his agents in Celtic have decided that he's best going to Liverpool, then that's a decision that's been reached, and you can't argue with that, and you have to let him go with your blessing.
I think so. And Bruce with the comment here, this is actually what we discussed before we come on. Are we absolutely sure this isn't an April Fool, that picture's not mocked up and blah, blah, blah. But the report was yesterday, so it was last night, so no. Plus, it wouldn't be a very funny April Fool, I don't think, would it?
Okay, Sean, let's talk about it. Sunday, April
Enough warm-up acts, enough. We just Ben Doak and Sydney Super Cup just a support act there.
Yeah, it was indeed. Charles Taggart comes in and says, come on the hoops, let's go to Ibrox and play our football. And you've spoken about that. That's his term, Sean, our football. And if Celtic go to Ibrox and play our football, do you think they'll win?
I do, aye. I think there's very few games that I think Celtic go into where if they don't, and I think the key is play their football, right enough. There's very few games I think they don't win if that's the case. The question is obviously, will they play their football? Can they? That kind of thing. Because there's been a few games where they haven't. There's been a few games where they haven't and they've still won. Postecoglou's said as much himself. Obviously, the last Derby game was the epitome of playing your football, totally imposing your style, and getting the goals to go along with. Because sometimes that's not been the case either this season. So, I think if they do play their football in the manner that we're suggesting, I think they will win.
Will revenge be in the Rangers' minds, Sean, because of what happened in the derby at Celtic Park?
I mean, they would say no, that each game's its own battle and all that, wouldn't they? But nah, it's got to be. It's got to be.
Does that give you extra fuel, or do you think Celtic will be able to cope with that? Will Andrew prepare his team to cope with that kind of Rangers maybe coming out the traps?
I think they'll 100% expect Rangers to be approaching it, certainly in a more committed fashion than they did in the first game. But I think they were shell-shocked. Alison McConnell used the term like a rabbit caught in the headlamps the other day, and I think that was true. Like they didn't know how to cope with the way Celtic were playing against them. Now, I don't expect it to be like that, not only because it's at Ibrox, but just because Rangers are a better team than what they showed that game. And I think 99% of the credit for the way that they looked that night is Celtic's. But I do think that they will perform better. One, they've got to perform better. Two, they have been doing well since. And I said yesterday, I hyped up Alan Morrison's column about the tactical preview that went live this morning. So again, I would urge anyone interested in a tactical preview of the match and the styles of both teams to log onto the website and read that. I think he makes a good point that Rangers should treat this as a European tie tactically, even though they do need to win, where Celtic will, as always, go out and try and impose their attacking style, even though they don't need to win. So it's going to be such an interesting game tactically for me. I always come back to identity. I think Celtic, all right, there's an accusation that they have only one identity, but if that's it's almost half the battle in these things. I'm going to use this as a wee plug for, I'm not going to say who it is you're talking to, but tomorrow you've got an article coming out, a feature about what it's like to play under Ange Postecoglou. And the term that I just used there about that's half the battle is a term that this guy spoke about when you're playing for Ange and you know exactly what you're expected to do in the heat of battle. That's kind of half of that's half of the battle for you. You know what's expected because he makes it abundantly clear and he has you prepared for it. Now, that's not to say that Giovanni Van Bronckhorst doesn't have his Rangers team prepared. That's not to say for a minute that Van Bronckhorst doesn't have his Rangers team prepared. But I think the way that Celtic have been playing under Ange all season is for these types of games near the end of the season.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Sean. And you're talking there, William Lamont comes back in and says, Georges Giakoumakis hat-trick worth a tenner, 75-1. We're talking about an identity, Sean. Basically, that identity is that, a lot of Celtic supporters saying they would take a draw right now. The manager doesn't know how to play for a draw, does he? He's only going to go there with one mindset, and that's to win a football match. Yeah, it's the most important game of the season so far, but he would turn around and argue that they've all been important since he came to the club. So he's not going to do anything different. It's just the next important game and a whole season of important games for him personally. So I don't imagine his message would change either.
No, it won't. His message doesn't change at all. You see it like there's obviously intricacies of game to game and opponent to opponent, but ultimately it's more this thing about imposing Celtic's own style. As I keep going back to the kind of box analogy and stuff. I like this comment though, Gerald Coyle. Rabbits don't change habits. So we'll see if that's the case. I wouldn't expect it again quite to that extent, but you never know.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, I think if you're a Celtic supporter, Sean, you're happy with that blueprint that they're going to set out to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a draw suits Celtic, but how do you play for a draw? You know, fine well, Celtic are just going to go hell for leather and see where it takes them.
Yep, John Curry's basically saying that they're the pragmatic, technically. Everybody loves that word, I'm supposed to call it the pragmatic. Thing to do would be go and hold out for a draw, frustrate the crowd, get a firm hand in the league title. Ange definitely won't do it. I agree, I don't think you will do it, and I don't think you should either. Because I've said before, I don't think Celtic are set up to do that. I think they have been very good in defence, but I don't think that's the same as being a team that will sit 9 behind the ball. Not that I think Ange would do it anyway, but I don't think they're set up to do it regardless. And I think you've got to remember the messages that Ange Postecoglou has been giving these players all season. If he's to turn around now, 7 games left in the season, going to Ibrox, only 700 fans, Celtic fans in, and he suddenly turns around and says, "Oh, here, we're actually playing for a draw today." What kind of message is that sending to the players about what he's been telling them for the other 9 months? So, it's not going to happen, and nor should it for me.
Sean, the season ticket renewals were sent out yesterday, and it accompanied a video of Ange talking to the players ahead of the League Cup final against Hibs, and he gave them a rousing speech, and he was telling them how to cope with as Ange with another epic team talked about his last one. The court size outstanding and the shoulders of Jackson was incredible. Yep, exactly. That's what I'm alluding to, Matty. And it gave you a wonderful insight into his thinking and how he fired up the players ahead of that. And as you say, the person tomorrow's talking about that too in the interview. You know, so he will be full of inspiration and wisdom for the players, won't he? You know that. So he'll have them well prepared and well drilled to go out there and just do what comes naturally to them. And as he said and he alluded to in that wee speech about coping with adversity when things aren't going wrong.
That's been a key theme all season.
You know, coping with adversity when things go wrong and working it out for themselves and playing themselves back into football matches, which has been a key element of Celtic this season, certainly domestically.
Definitely, I mean that video was kudos to the club. That video was a cracker. Not only because of the speech, but because of the Oasis cover a slide on the top. As someone who's sitting here with an Oasis coaster, I appreciated that. It's you're correct. And again, just to plug that feature of yours that's going live tomorrow morning is one of the best things I've read this year. I think it was very insightful with a player of what it's like to play under Ange Postecoglou, and a big emphasis on that was his team talks and how he gets you all buying into the way that he wants to play, and fundamentally doing it under pressure as well.
Yeah,
which is what he's been saying all season. That's something that came through, and I know I've been on about it on here more than a few times, but when we've done the kind of points from the presser before some of the big games, Leverkusen stuck out to me. I know they didn't win it, but it still stuck out to me. When he was talking about resilience, it wasn't in that kind of, let's all sit on our 18-yard line resilience. It was about taking in the messages that he's been giving them and doing it even when something goes wrong, that kind of thing. And that's all got to come to fruition in the last 7 games. That's the message he's been sending, and that's why I'm meaning that there's no need for him to say let's go and sit behind the ball, let's go and frustrate, all that kind of thing.
Now Simon Thomas says attack. We've been enjoying the attack nature of the football.
Evan as well, best defensive attack, shut the crowd up.
Now, speaking of the attack, Sean, without giving our formations away, because we'll put that on the website tomorrow and everybody can read what we think. Attack. Okay. Let's see who would you play up front. I know my 3. You know, so it's
who do I think you'll play, or who would I play? Well, probably the same 3 anyway. Not me and Angela like that.
Well, I know you read your list before.
I think Big Giacomakis has got to be through the middle. I think we had a column on the website yesterday, young Declan McConville, who a few years will know, pointing out that he deserves the start first and foremost, but also making the point that Kyogo needs to be fit for there's other games left, that kind of thing. So there's no need to rush Kyogo straight back into the lineup with Giacomakis playing well and other games left. So I agree with that. I think Giacomakis through the middle. I think it will be Maeda left wing, and I think it will be Jota right wing.
I couldn't agree more. Simon Thomas comes in and says Maeda, Giacomakis and Jota. I think that's the kind of front 3 that the Celtic fans want to see. Probably harsh on Abada, but on form, that's the 3 that are on form at the minute, isn't it?
Yep.
So you go with that. It ain't broke. you don't have to fix it. That's my thoughts as well. And John Curry comes back in and says we're better off saving Kyogo for the cup semi-final.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, there's a
You're
score.
still going to have the same. If Giacomakis scores and Sunday and then in the St Johnstone game, how can you drop him for the semi-final as well? But
yeah,
there's a few.
The window cleaner was there. Sorry.
You want to give me money out the window?
No, the window cleaner. The window cleaner was there. My dogs are going mental as well. So
there's plenty of people saying there is a case for Abada. There definitely is.
Oh yeah.
But again, that's a good thing because if you're saying that's the three and we agree on the three, Abada's there on the bench, Forrest's there on the bench. You've got options there. It's good.
And
without using the words, in fact, I'll use it. The squad depth, Tony. The squad depth. It can be key in these games because it also, as much as it increases the pressure on whoever gets the nod to start to perform, it lessens the pressure on Postecoglou in a way because if they don't, there's someone of almost equal quality there to send on in their place. So it's a win-win.
I was just about to make that you are now bringing on players of, equal quality and maybe sometimes superior quality to the ones that are coming off. So, I mean, it's a win-win for Celtic.
Aye.
I'll just clear this up. Yes, the window cleaner's away. Willie, thanks for that. Appreciate it. But yeah,
Celtic, how many sleeps till the game? I suppose it depends. It depends if you get to sleep on Saturday night, doesn't it?
Yes, indeed. I mean, all derbies are important, Sean, but the magnitude of this one, especially coming after the crushing disappointment of last season, a lot of Celtic supporters are on edge for this one. What a win would mean. It would take a significant step towards reclaiming the Scottish Premiership title.
Well, I'll see that and raise you 1 hour. A lot of you might watch or listen to the 20-Minute Tim's podcast. One of them, Jamie Flynn, is a columnist for us. He's got a column up this morning on the website where he takes you one further. He says that he considers this game to be winner takes all. If Celtic win it, they have won the league essentially in his mind. They won't be caught, which is obviously Giacomakis levels of interview possibly, but
yes, indeed.
There's a point there. There is a point there.
Well, there is a point there. I wouldn't go that far. It's never over till it's over. But I think if Celtic can go to Ibrox and win, it would be a significant stride. Yeah. And and I don't think there would be any let up from the manager or the players in the 6 games that they would have left after Sunday. But yes, it's all set up nicely. Yes, the nerves are jangling, but it's why we love it, really, don't we, Sean?
We do, aye. As Daniel says here, ho, 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 off we go. That's it. What a way to end the show.
Indeed, I think that is a great way to end the show. Guys, have a fantastic Friday. If you can get to sleep over the next 2 nights, then you'll be a better man than I am. Don't know about your sleeping pattern, Sean, but I'm quite insomniacal. But hey, it's just the way I am.
Oh, actually, Tony, before somebody comes in and reminds us, usually David Bradley, score prediction.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Oh, right. Am I going first then?
Up to you. I'll go first if you want it, doesn't it?
Okay, if you've got a score prediction to hand, then on you go.
Right, I'm going quite a simple here. 1-0 Celtic. Clean sheet.
1-0 Celtic.
I think the defence in the midfield will really come through. I think that's where the key battlegrounds are being. I think Celtic's defence in midfield will do it.
Well, I'm going to say 2-0 Celtic, and I'll go
clean sheets. Clean sheets, the order of the day.
Giacomakis at the double. And
there's a common theme amongst all these score predictions.
And I'll just say to Gerald, actually, it's not Subbuteo, it's Super Striker for those of a 70s vintage. It's up there in its original form, and I've even got a Celtic team. And one day, I might even have it set up where the Celtic way viewers and listeners can have a look at it, and it's all splendid.
A live special.
It's the one where you press the head, Sean. I don't know if you're familiar with that football game. Maybe
I know what you're talking about, but it's before
your time. Yeah. And I managed to source a Celtic team, which is as rare as hen's teeth, on eBay one day. So yeah, I've got that. But there you go. I'll produce it one day. Yeah, you go, Sean. You're right. All the predictions are leaning towards a Celtic victory. Here's hoping we're all right, and we'll reconvene on Monday. Hopefully, with a smile on our face and 6 points ahead in the title race. Thanks for your contribution, Sean. Always enjoy it. Thanks for all your comments, guys. Have a wonderful weekend. It's all resting on one thing, though, isn't it?
Cheers, Tony. Cheers, guys.